Michael Quinn. I'm the Vice President of the Meriden Hall of Fame Association, and am proud to welcome you all to our induction ceremony today. We're going to begin with our invocation from the Reverend Harold Quigley of the First United Methodist Church of Meriden.
I just ask for a moment of privilege. There is a singing group that is over there, perhaps, that wrote a tribute to the Red Bridge Trail. And when my wife died 2 years ago, I started walking there in the morning because the trail reminded me so much of the walk that my wife and I used to take as freshmen as we would go back from our classes. So if that group is here today, thank you. Let us pray. Lord God Almighty, when we come before you and actually look at what you have accomplished for us, we are awed by the beauty with which we are surrounded. And we are also humbled by the love and patience that you have with us as you try to form us into a people who will care for the earth and be there for one another. Today, Lord, we lift up to you 4 men who have used their God-given gifts in ways that enrich those around them, their lives, and also unified our community. And so, Lord, we thank you for giving us such examples. And we ask that through listening to their accomplishments, we may be inspired by this world and its God and not overwhelmed by it, so that we might be inspired, each of us, to do what we can to make it a more positive way to live. And we ask reverently and humbly. Amen. Whoops, I don't want to take this.
Grab mine,
I'll be lost.
And at this time, I'd like to call up the Honorable Kevin Scarpati, Mayor of the City of Meriden, for opening remarks.
Good afternoon. This is a great day for the City of Meriden, so let's try that again. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It certainly is. Proud to be here with all of you, so standing room only, and thank you for joining us here at the beautiful Augusta Curtis Cultural Center right here in Meriden. Before I begin, I just want to first, of course, acknowledge the recipients and those being inducted into the class of 2025. Each of you will be receiving a certificate on behalf of the Mayor's Office as well as the Meriden City Council in honor of your award today. But we also have a number of elected officials in the room. Our MC and our state representative, Michael Quinn. Michael, thank you, as well as State Representative Hilda Santiago. Our United States Senator, Richard Blumenthal, friend of Meriden. Thank you, sir, for joining us here. And we have a number of city councilors. We have City Councilor Chad Cardillo, City Councilor Joe Scaramuzzo. We have City Councilor, any other city councilors? Obviously, our inductee, City Councilor, former Mayor Michael Rohde, and Vice Chairwoman of the Meriden Board of Education, Kim Pandiani. We have our city, did I miss any city councilors? Oh, that's right. Yvette was stuck in the hallway and I just let her in. Sorry. Yvette Cortez. Our city manager, Mr. Brian Daniels, is with us as well as obviously a number of dignitaries. Former Secretary of Education for the United States, Miguel Cardona, is with us as well, a lifelong Meriden resident, and so many names. Each of you have played such a critical role, not only those being inducted today, but all of you, the family members and friends and colleagues of the inductees. Often I look at Meriden as being, we look at Meriden being very diverse, a melting pot, and I look at it as a mosaic piece of art, right? So Chris from Gallery 53 would appreciate that. And each of you have played a role by placing your own tile within that piece of art, making Meriden what it is today. And so standing here before you, as Mike and I often joke, I think I came into this position at the right time when so much good was happening in our city. And so I'm able to just take a lot of credit for the work that happened decades before. And it's not lost on me that each of you have played a role in all of that, in getting me to where I am today, but most importantly, getting Meriden to where it is today and being so successful. So thank you. Thank you for your contributions. And I know the Meriden Hall of Fame has a very difficult task in selecting who's to be inducted each year, and it's to fit a specific category or criteria. But don't be fooled in thinking that that category should summarize the role and the work that that individual has contributed to our community. It goes far beyond government and law for Mike Rohde, and business and commerce for Kevin Curry, or as Thomas Potter, if you look back just beyond art, but also education, and of course Joseph Pierce, and not only being in the category of historic persons, but what he meant in a decorated officer through the Civil War. And so with all of that, please read the bios of each of the recipients today. And for decades, know that your name, your picture, and biography will be hung in the halls at City Hall on the gold plaques on the ground, on the first floor of City Hall, for Meriden residents to come in and read about our great history and all of your work. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your celebration today. Congratulations.
And at this time, I'd like to call Senator Richard Blumenthal for remarks.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you for letting me be a part of this wonderful celebration. It's a celebration of democracy, of good citizenship, of giving back, and it is unique in Connecticut, maybe even in the country, I don't know for sure, but it really is a testament to Meriden. As often as I've been coming to this ceremony, I am always so deeply impressed by how a single town can produce so many people who have such extraordinary histories of public service. And of course, today is no exception. I know personally Kevin and Michael. I've been pleased to work with them in many of their capacities, and those roles that they've performed are literally too numerous for me to go through here. But as an elected official, as Michael was, as a great citizen caring for kids, the Soapbox Derby and the Hometown Foundation, and I promised I wouldn't list, but thank you, Kevin, for your contributions. I obviously didn't know Thomas Potter or Joseph Pierce, but they are two decorated veterans. Joseph Pierce, an extraordinary story, being sold into, in effect, slavery for $6 silver in China, brought to this country, and then serving and decorated in our Civil War and coming back to give so much to his community. Great immigrant story. and Tom Potter, again, decorated veteran, Battle of the Bulge, and then coming back as art supervisor for all of Meriden, a great educator. The diversity of contributions that have been celebrated in the Hall of Fame is just so inspiring to me. And it gives me heart and inspiration at a time when I really need it. I spend 5 days a week down in Washington, D.C., a place where public service is often not as respected as perhaps it should be, and we need to work together as these inductees and many others have done without regard to race, religion, background, or party. And that is also so deeply inspiring. So I'm excited to be with you today. I'm grateful for the models of public service that you celebrate and the great tradition that is embodied by your current public servants, like the mayor and your entire team. He's someone whom I have admired, and I've worked with him over many years as well. So thank you to the Hall of Fame. This is the 49th, I gather. I'm looking forward to the 50th as well. We can barely accommodate the people standing room only in this room right now. But thank you for allowing me to be part of this wonderful, inspiring ceremony. God bless you. God bless our great country. Thank you.
Before I turn it over to Meriden's Inner Groove for a musical number, I would like to also recognize our past Hall of Fame inductees. And I think I caught you all when you were coming in, but if you'd all please stand as I call your name. Hector Cardona Sr., Rudine Ray, Irene Massey, Elliot White, Miguel Cardona, and Larry Pelletier. If we'd all give them a round of applause. What? Oh, that's right. Bruce. You're right. I completely forgot about that. And of course, Bruce Birchstead, my favorite Hall of Fame inductee. Anyone else? It's always the danger when you try and go down that road of recognizing people that you invariably miss someone. But, you know, I'll survive. I'd also like to recognize former Board of Education member and current Connecticut Superior Court Judge Don Green. And without further ado, Meriden's Inner Groove for their song Red Bridge.
Meet me at Red Bridge, honey, I will take my time that you stride and we will talk. We will talk. This train is only 12 years old. There used to be a beach on the far side of the road. A toast to the time when we were kids. The chapter in life was short and caring. What if we could go back there and then? Would we pay more attention to the
Thank you very much, Inner Groove. Now I'd like to call up Ed McCarthy for the presentation of our first inductee in the category of Business and Commerce, Kevin Curry.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Augusta Curtis. My path has crisscrossed with Kevin's over the last 45 plus years, numerous times, starting from when we both attended Wilcox Tech and we graduated in 1981. Kevin in the auto shop, I was in the electrical shop. Who would have thought that two former Wilcox Tech auto shop students would be inducted into the Meriden Hall of Fame? That's right, Kevin was in the auto shop, and our own Dr. Miguel Cardona graduated from Wilcox in the auto shop. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2021. Kevin always liked to go against the grain. 9 of his siblings went to Platt. He was the only one to go to Wilcox. Kevin, along with Meriden Hall of Fame founder Sal Giacobbe's granddaughter, Lisa, graduated together with us, and both Kevin and Lisa were selected to be most likely to succeed. How ironic. Kevin and I still work very closely with other areas in my job and throughout my career, and also with other Wilcox graduates. Kevin is loyal to his vendors and his suppliers. Kevin has persevered in business, always looking to do things better and to give back to the community through the many organizations that he is a member of. His own organization, Teddy's Stores, has given over $100,000 back just last year locally to local community groups. I reached out to his daughter, Tara, for help in writing his nomination letter because I couldn't name all of the accomplishments, and it's a pretty impressive list. I originally imagined having the Teddy Store brand ambassador, Kevin's dog Teddy, carry Kevin's plaque into the ceremony. But she wasn't available. She declined and said she had a previous commitment at another Teddy store. But she did send along her personal gift just for Kevin. That's it. That's all you get. Kevin never forgot where he came from. And just like George Jefferson, he moved on up to the east side. Now I'd like to invite Kevin's daughter, Tara, to come up and say a few words.
I'm Tara, the late one.
You give that to me.
Oh, that's for Teddy. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Ed has known my dad longer than me, 45 years. I've only known him 30. But just a little bit about my dad is that he is the 8th of 10 children born to Peg and Paul Curry. They came from Ireland over here. He was educated throughout the Meriden public school system. As Ed mentioned, he did go to Wilcox. He went on to graduate from Denver Automotive and Diesel College. He also married my beautiful mom, Patty, who is here today. Yes, queen that she is. They say behind every great man is an even greater lady, and I think that is definitely true for this one. And they have 4 amazing children, one of me. And then my sister Kelly is here as well. And then my older brother Sean is in Seattle. He serves in the Army flying Black Hawk, so he could not be here today. And my little brother Ryan is in Hawaii with his wife Bella, and they are physicists. So, and always, as we all know about Teddy, we always had a family dog named Teddy, and so that is where the name comes from. But a little bit about my dad. He was trained as an auto mechanic. He drove wreckers in trade school for many years following that as well. He became a Gulf oil distributor. He continued to grow his business. He kept acquiring more stations throughout. Him and my mom also became sole owners of the company. They decided to create Teddy Stores brand. Clearly had a nice inspiration there with our favorite dog. And he continued to, with Teddy's brand, growing fuel and food with a mission. Teddy's is committed to giving back to the local community and partners with nonprofits, mostly focused on animal welfare, children with special needs, and military and veteran efforts. My dad has been a lifelong Meriden resident, as Ed said, and he's always been an active member of the community. He has been passionately involved in the community for decades, and he is a proud and past president of the Meriden Rotary Club. He currently serves as chairman of the Meriden Planning Commission, and he is a member of the Cuno Foundation Distribution Committee. He also serves, this is a very lengthy list, he also serves on the board of Beat the Street Community Center. He enjoys guiding members into lifelong careers. He was also instrumental in bringing back the Meriden Soapbox Derby after a 50-year hiatus. He had a special interest in derby car races for children with special needs. His proudest achievements come from helping others, especially those with special needs. He is instrumental in bringing several Special Olympic athletes to the Dream Ride from Ireland. And he is currently organizing the Dream Ride on Ireland with the Hometown Foundation to occur next summer. So my dad is pretty amazing, so I'm very happy to be here today and share this with him. And thank you for all you do for Meriden and continue to do. And I made him cry, so you're welcome.
And with that, I give you Kevin Curry.
Thank you, Mike. It's great to be in this beautiful building. Was here many years with the kids, with the soapbox derbies, with all the cars lined up, inside, outside, and just had a great time in this building, gorgeous building. But more importantly is to be with all the people that are here, the past recipients that are here, and probably some future recipients. As Father Jetty said this morning in Mass, he came back to Meriden to say Mass, I think, because I'm here today, Father. But it was good to hear his voice in Mass, and he said today was the World Mission, okay? World Mission Day, and it's how appropriate of all the things we do in a community to have that this morning. As far as what we're doing here, there's so many people that have helped me get through this, my career. My wife, obviously, as my daughter said, we're coming up on 40 years, and I don't know if Tom Barton's in the room here. Oh, there he is. I see Waldo. So 20 years ago, Tom gave a speech. It's my 40th anniversary, and it's Patty's 280th, right? 120, because they measure the years with me in dog years. So, and I'm stealing it from Tom, but that's what it is there. It's always good with that. So, but as far as that goes, we also have my daughters here. My sons obviously are across the country, on the other side of the country. Also, as we're talking about, current events, my parents are immigrants. They came here for a better life for their kids. They came to the country with 4 kids, and 6 more were born here in Meriden. Just a great thing for everybody here. And basically, you can do as much as you want in this country if you want to. You have to take the initiative, and you have to go out and do it. One of the things that you look at here is people make the choice a lot of times to leave Meriden. I've made the choice to stay here. I'm happy I stayed here, and I'm proud to be here. When we started our company, Teddy Stores, I was told by many people we were too small to do certain things we wanted to do. And I can tell you that we did everything in Meriden, every vendor that we used. We had Tom Barton. He had to get Teddy and him and his wife Lori to get the snaggletooth just right for the view of Teddy. We had Bruce printed the stuff for us over at Prentice, Shiner Signs, Jim Vitale, Tunxus, they deliver our fuel. Richard Carabetta, our accountant. It's amazing how many people that we had. Then we couldn't get cups made. Russell Hall made the cups for us. So everything was done in Meriden, and that's, makes me proud to say that. And there's so much good that happens in Meriden, and people don't realize it. I'd also like to thank our Senator Richard Blumenthal for helping us with my daughter married a man from Ireland, and he helped us through the immigration. Now we have 2 grandchildren with them. My other daughter has 2 grandchildren. We all live in the same neighborhood. same as Mike. So it's just a great thing with everything that you can do right here in Meriden. There's some people that I really like to just thank here is, followed up on Eddie's thing, go to Wilcox. Went there because I never liked school. I didn't want to, learn. I don't like to read. I like to talk, as you can see. So it's, going there, my teacher, Mr. DeRozier from the auto shop, Miguel had him also as a teacher, and just a great guy and very inspirational in us. The people from Gulf Oil that gave us the opportunity to become a distributor. When everybody else was leaving the company, we went in, we stayed loyal to them, and we've grown. We have over 30 sites with them now around Connecticut. Just proud to say that. It's always been good. And most of all, our customers, many in the room here, and our vendors that we're proud to support and give back to them, give back to the community. We work out with a lot of partnerships with the different organizations. This morning we had a cancer walk down at Red Bridge. It's funny when you hear the story. We were just there this morning. So Meriden's a great place, and we're proud to be here with everybody else. And as I say, the future, the best is yet to come. Hopefully got many more years to keep giving back to the community. We're in a good spot. And Father Jetty, are you coming to Ireland with us to bring the kids over? Father Jetty actually did a wedding in Ireland for us when we had a wedding for our daughter over there, so it was very nice. So, but once again, thank you to the committee, thank you to everybody for being part of this, and just God bless everybody.
Our next recipient in the category of art is Thomas Potter Sr., and to present Mr. Potter is Gary O'Neill.
Well, thank you for having me. First of all, I want to acknowledge I see two former students, Miguel Cardona and Donald Green. Donald was, I think, in my first class at John Berry. So my experience with Tom Potter was a little different. I said, gee, I thought it was a pretty tough interview. And he didn't smile. And so I was, generally I'm not nervous, but I was nervous then. And so we started off, and he interviewed me and asked me, he told me about all the Meriden people that were applying for the job. And, Meriden likes to keep their own, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, well, you do that too much, that's like incest. He said, what? So I said, you need some fresh blood. And then he asked me a lot where I went to school, which was Maryland Institute College of Art, Baltimore, Maryland. And, but he had some very hard questions for me. And so I just wanted a little bit of a smile from Tom. So anyway, that never happened. And so I just called my father and I said, oh my God, Dad, I just had this interview and I really love where I was going to be at John Berry School, which was basically designed for Gary O'Neill. So it was bilingual K through 5 at that time. So one of Tom's questions was, he said, well, you're going to go to a rough school and you're from the country. I'm from East Hampton. We're the last traceable natives in the Middletown area from the Wango tribe. And I am the elder of the tribe. And we're doing all kinds of things. But anyway, he said, well, you come from, the country and da-da-da, so on and so forth. You listen, And he said, I just don't know whether it will be a good fit. And so I just continued all the questions. And so he asked me, he said, what makes you think that you would be the best candidate for this job? I said, that's easy, because before I went into the interview, I studied who lived in Meriden, and which really surprised him. I said, well, I was an exchange student to Columbia, South America. I was I did a semester abroad in Mexico. I said, you have a very strong Latin community, and I think that because of my experience, I will do very well. And then I also talked about my ethnic background. I said, I had this experience, that experience, and he's just, And so I just walked away from the interview very, I just hadn't had an interview like that. So he comes in to observe me the second week of school. Now, I had done 6 months as a permanent sub teaching math and science, and he comes in and he comes into the back room with Mr. D'Angelo, who was the principal at John Berry back then. And so the kids were saying, and who's this? I said, the only way I can describe Tom Potter is he's a show dog. He said, he's a show dog? I said, oh yeah, he's a show dog and I'm a puppy. And so he's my boss. And I said, and so they said, oh, show dog. And so Tom, all of a sudden his demeanor changed. And he really liked that. And so I said, but you got to be good while my boss is here. And so I was teaching second graders about patterns. And I can remember it so clearly. And so I talked to the kids about patterns can be found on clothing, patterns can be found in songs. And then I started to do a hopscotch. I said, this is a pattern. And so he just looked and he said, oh, this is real fresh blood. He loved it. And all of a sudden he smiled. And I had talked to my father and I said, Dad, I got this boss that doesn't smile. And he said, Gary, do you know what your name is? I said, Gary O'Neill. He said, do you know your third great-grandfather is from Ireland? He married a woman that was half black and half Native American. And he said, you have to go into your Irish blood. You have to really dig deep. I said, I'm so diluted as an Irishman. He says, it's still in your blood. So I went back, and in the first year, I joined Gallery 53 and the NAACP, and the Woods family, anybody that knows the Woods family, they took me under their wing. And I'm telling you, I learned so much. So then we went to Gallery 53, and I went to Mr. D'Angelo and said, oh, we need to have some field trips. And he said, field trips? We don't have no money for no field trips. So I said, well, how about if I solve the problem? He said, how much money are you coming up with? I said, well, I'll talk to you next week. So I go down to the mills on my bicycle from Foster Street, and that's where I lived for 10 years. I go down to Foster Street on my bicycle, and so the kids knew me, and they said, well, where are you going? I said, well, I'm going to go through mills, and I got to get some help. So I said, so they watched my bicycle, which was there when I got back, and so I go up and talk to some of the big mamas at the mills, and I said, I want to start going to Gallery 3. I want to have field trips once a month because they were coming to us and doing demonstrations. So what we did is we had some folks from the mills. I said, you get at the back of the line, I'll be at the front of the line. And I mean, I couldn't get over how well those kids behaved. So we started having field trips once a month to Gallery 53. And so all these mothers kept helping us. They were in the back of the line, I was in the front of the line, and then Stu Grandy and a few others would lead the field trip and talk about the artwork. So we started a relationship with Gallery 53 in 1978, and it continued until I left and went to Washington Middle School, but it was wonderful. It was wonderful. So they've been one of my best friends in Meriden. But Tom Potter was just so excited. He said, Gary, and I said, you're warming up. And he said, well, I'm sorry, I sort of was pressured to tell you about all the people we could have hired except you. And I said, well, you were pretty icy with me. And he said, well, I won't be icy anymore. So then Tom said, what can you do for the art department? You've got us involved in Gallery 53. Okay, what else can you do? I said, well, why don't we have professional development, and each one of the teachers, whether they're jewelers, whether there's painters, why don't we have a night, and I think it was at Israel Putnam, why don't we have a night where they demonstrate? Well, let me tell you, it was well attended, and Tom Potter, everything I thought he wasn't, all of a sudden he was just holding me, hugging me, and he said, "Gary, you keep going," and he really encouraged me. And so as a result, with the field trips and, my bicycle, worrying about my bicycle, and the professional development, I had won him over. And as a result, he continued to stay in touch with me until he retired and told me about all the gifts that I had within. And coming from East Hampton, where I was never in the inner circle, my adult life blossomed. And he told me about the treasure within. And he said, Gary, you have so many treasures, and I'm going to help you, I'm going to guide you. And so as a result, I was so motivated that I ended up being Teacher of the Year. I think I'm the only Teacher of the Year for the state of Connecticut, from the city of Meriden. But he just kept encouraging me and making me want to do my best. I ended up teaching 48 and a half years, and I still volunteer at Washington Middle. And my brother said, and I always worked 2 jobs, he said, "You're the only person I ever knew that worked 2 jobs until you were 70 years old and go in smiling and come out smiling." So I got so many gifts from this man, and he made me be the best I could be. And our whole goal as teachers are to make sure we ignite these children. And I have nothing but goodness and gratitude for Tom Potter, because he really brought the best out in me. Thank you.
And to accept the award, and I'm going to have to give Kevin his because I forgot to do it. It's below my line of sight here. Accepting the award for Thomas Potter is Joe Zajac from the Hall of Fame.
Mike, as usual, is correct. I am Joe Zajac. I have been corresponding with Tom Potter Jr., the Reverend Tom Potter Jr., thank you. And he asked me to read this letter, and the subject is my dad. And just remember, this is from a son. Meriden born, Meriden bred, Meriden raised, Meriden dead. That's my dad. My father gave his life and his heart to Meriden. I want to be part of the beautification of Meriden, he once said to me. Raised by his mother, off to Meriden schools, off to Normandy Beach, where he lost his leg. That is something I didn't realize until I got this letter from his son. I don't know anywhere else that I had seen that, but a Purple Heart. He received the Purple Heart. War was a terrible thing, Tom, he told me. Never wanted to talk about it much at all. Back to Meriden to marry a Meriden girl, raise a Meriden family, teach art at a Meriden school, Lincoln Junior High School, then became the art supervisor of the Meriden school system, sponsoring student art exhibits in various Meriden locations. As time went on, he would write art topics for the Meriden Record Journal. Anybody remember that? And he was a president of the Meriden Daffodil Festival in Hubbard Park. He was president of the Meriden Home Club and served on a few other groups and communities. Paper gets heavy after a while. Meriden, Meriden, Meriden. Beautify Meriden. Educate Meriden to the arts. I thank you on behalf of the family, the Reverend Thomas Potter Jr., who would not be with us. I believe he is traveling this weekend leaving Maine and going to the Carolinas. I don't know what anyone will not do that. So thank you on behalf of Tom Pottage Jr. Thank you all.
Okay. And our next inductee in the category of law, government, and military, and quite frankly, it could have been in community service also with all of the organizations that Michael Rohde has been involved with over his time in Meriden. I'd first like to call on Dr. Miguel Cardona.
Thank you. Good afternoon. What a great celebration. Congrats to all of the inductees. Kevin, it was great. You're a special person and you give so much to the city, so congratulations to you. And while I didn't know Thomas Potter, I'm very thankful for him because I learned today that he hired Gary O'Neill. And it was Gary O'Neill whose class I sat in as a second grader at John Berry, and I looked up and I said, I want to be like that guy. So thank you. Mike, I feel honored to be able to say a few words. I feel unworthy almost, given the decades of service you've given Meriden and the many people whose lives you've touched. In many ways, Mike, you too are a teacher. We all have learned a lot from you. 5 lessons that have really stuck with me are: number 1, give to others. And when you have no more to give, just give a little more. Lesson number 2, it's okay to be a disruptor. If everyone is happy, that means you're not pushing hard enough. I learned that from you. I learned that you have to be an ally. I don't know anyone in my life that has championed diversity more than you. As a young Latino, that meant a lot. Whether it was the MLK breakfast, what you did to really revive the Puerto Rican festival. You're an honorary Puerto Rican, you know that, right? And although you're not a farmer, what you did for the farmers market, pretty amazing. I learned you have to be an ally. The next lesson I learned really comes from the Bible, Psalms 15:4. Keep your oath even when it hurts. Regardless of the health issues you had, you never led with that. You led with service. You kept your oath even when it hurt. And the 5th lesson I learned from you is to build bridges. While others build walls, you were building bridges, literally and figuratively. I can't go by downtown without thinking that bridge that you 20 years ago were thinking about a vision for downtown Meriden. You built bridges not only there, but figuratively with all of us in this community. Thank you. Many in this room are in the Hall of Fame because of the example you gave or the doors you kicked down for us. In honor of the same ideals that Mike fought for the past 6 decades, yesterday, over 7 million patriots across the country reminded us that there are no kings in America.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
But I don't know, Mike. You are as close to royalty as they come. Thank you for living your life in service to others. We are better because of it. The Meriden Hall of Fame is better because you are in it. Welcome to the club and congratulations.
And for a further presentation, David Cooley and Bruce Birchstead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw these papers up in the air now and just play our little song, huh? Oh, my goodness.
Well, I think you have something to say there for us.
I do?
I think
Okay,
so.
well, I did kind of get up at 5 in the morning and rewrite everything I had thought about writing, and then now I'm rewriting it again in my head after Miguel was so eloquent, and everybody here has been so eloquent. It's really been a great day. Thanks to everybody for coming to this historic building.
Use the mic.
Get in close there.
All right. My name's Dave Cooley. It's great to be here in this historic building where I read books as a little kid, and education's a big theme. Gary, it's great. You blew me away. Special shout out to Denise Jones and Tom over there for In a Groove. Great job. Our distinguished guests of honor and dignitaries. I got to know Mike Rohde really only over the last 10 years or so. Bruce wrangled me into being kind of a downtown ambassador, as a lot of the hard work that Mike did with a lot of folks in this room to bring back downtown and get us to where we are now. The idea was to just try to make good things happen downtown, and with the help of others, we were all working together on that. And but Mike didn't know me from a hole in the wall. I was retired from the corporate world, and first day in the little office that we set up down there, he came in and sat down and just grilled me pretty good. He's like, "Who are you? What's your background? And what are you going to do?" And I knew Mike, of course, and at least his background, and I think I survived that test. But in thinking about this morning what I was going to say, I think that the words that came out consistently was, Mike had no fear ever that I had seen in him, and in addition to what Miguel said, be not afraid. My mother always said, be not afraid. And that has stuck with me in everything that he has done. He has faced all the slings and arrows. He's had big ideas, and a lot of people have ideas, and a lot of people have big ideas. I mean, just look at Facebook every day. Everybody has ideas. But to have big ideas and actually execute on them, even little ideas in Meriden sometimes take a long time to get done. And he's done such an amazing job of understanding what was happening downtown and saying, I'm going to be leading this effort finally to fix this flooding problem that's been 100 years plus. And I'm going to marshal the resources from both parties. I'm going to find the funds. I'm going to do what it takes, and we're going to make this happen. And Mike, you did it. It's unbelievable. And there's no more flooding. I mean, the work continues. Nothing's perfect, but the green is a testament to your efforts, and not just yours. You can go look at the plaques down there. There's a lot of people in this room and others that have made that happen. But there's still more to go, but it's amazing what we've been able to accomplish down there. And it's mainly because of your efforts. I mean, to have Mike Rohde on one side and Phil Ashton on the other, diehard Republican. I remember Phil with his tie on going down Washington Street with a tape measure, with Mike, I'm sure, inspiring him to do that. It's pretty impressive. And so there's just so much you could say, obviously, and we can go through all his accomplishments. Like I said, this is all out the window here.
Well, you had something about his sports, I believe you wanted to mention.
Well, we can talk about that too, but let's Mike obviously came to Meriden over 50 years ago with Matt and Mandy, and we sure wish Nancy was here, that's for sure. But over 30, yeah, right. And 30 years involved with city government, 3 times elected mayor, Meriden Flood Control Implementation Agency, the Meriden Farmers Market instituting the doubling dollars concept, which over 200,000 back of the envelope of high quality foods for folks in need from the locally grown food products here in Connecticut. Chairman of the United Way of Meriden Wallingford, chairman of the Linear Trail Committee, the first trail along the Quinnipiac River. As Miguel mentioned, heavily involved in the annual Puerto Rican Festival, chair of the Finance Committee of the Martin Luther King Jr., Albert Owens Scholarship Committee, chairman of the Wise Men, saved I think the Arts and Crafts Association of Meriden, our Gallery 53, and we've heard how important that is. Meriden Historical Society involvement, Downtown Beautification Committee, the flowers that goes on, he's behind the scenes making that happen. And the list goes on. There's a lot. He received an award from Liberty Bank for the Willard McRae Community Diversity Award, and connecting with people, the diversity that he's championed all along the way. And he finally retired, I think, just only 2 years ago from the workforce as the Director of Community Relations for the Community Health Center. So, man, you've had a great run, and I'm sure it is going to continue. And we got Bruce Berkstead with me here. He's written a song that I'm sure will work just fine to celebrate this fine day. And he told me to bring a harmonica.
Yeah, where is that?
It's a little one.
Ah, the little one, yeah, okay.
So I'm just going to sit over here and honk away while you
Don't
do
go,
your thing.
don't go too far,
All right.
because we want to
Bruce
be able to pick it up here.
Let's see.
All right, yeah, well, those of you who know me, I can't say things without an instrument in my hand. So this is a little song that we wrote for Mike. 1975, he came to Meriden, so that is 50 years ago. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. Are you ready?
Sure.
50 years in Meriden, that's a long time to be round. Yet still you hold your head up high, for your legacy is sound. And you're always with a smile, 'cause you don't have time to frown. You've been the go-to man, the go-to when things need to be done. 100 years plus many more of flooded streets downtown. And every time it happened, the city fathers frowned. They shrugged their shoulders, said that's life, and here's some sand to pound. Until the time you said it's time, we have to get things done. Well, you got great things to happen now, just take a look around. An award-winning park adorns our drying out downtown, with music on the green making such a lovely sound. You made the call and showed them all just how to get things done. And while we're talking about the green, there's more there to be found. Saturdays each summer, folks are farmers market bound. They come on down to buy their weekly produce by the pound. Example 2 of what you do and how you get things done. So many more examples, you have kept us all spellbound. But I'd better wrap this song up, not to beat it to the ground. To suffice to say, this very day you really should be crowned. 'Cause Mike, you've been the go-to man to go to get things done. And now,
thank you, guys. Wow. A little more than a human being can handle in one day. Thank you. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Award for 50 years. It's a half century of recognizing the accomplishments of Meriden residents for a better Meriden. I'd like to thank David Cooley and Bruce for submitting my name for Hall of Fame consideration, being with such a notable group of wonderful, wonderful contributors to our community. I'm very happy to join Kevin Curry, my neighbor and friend, as a fellow inductee this year. But first and foremost, above all else, I have to acknowledge my wife, Nancy. 56 beautiful years. the love of my life, the light of my life.
Amen. Amen.
There's no way I could have achieved a fraction of what I've accomplished without her by my side as a rock and a supporter, and I miss her deeply. At an early age, I heard that if you get love and work right in your life, you can have a pretty successful life. Fortunately for me, I married up when I married Nancy. We had a wonderful marriage for 56 years, buried two great children, Matthew and Mandy, who are with me here today. Matt's become a world-class musician, touring the world several times. Mandy has a creative gift in digital marketing, retired at 52. I like to call her my favorite daughter, and I'm also better known as Matt's father. As for the career side, I came to Connecticut in 1967 following graduation from St. John Fisher College in Rochester, New York, to work at St. John's School for Boys. My job was a child care worker for a princely salary of $80 a week, room and board. I worked my way up over 5 years to be a director and finally came to the Curtis home in Meriden in 1972. This was my first introduction to this great city. So at Curtis home, we took a small group home and turned it into a modern residential and day treatment program, adoption and foster care, special education, always striving to achieve permanency in the lives of these children. After leaving Curtis home, I served in a number of executive positions in nonprofit organizations, including the Cole Center for Grieving Children, Ronald McDonald House, and in the past 13 years with the Community Health Center, Inc. Then in 1989, thanks to the support of Representative Attorney Tom Luby, I began my political career as a city councilor and went on to serve as councilor and mayor for the next 30 years. I had the benefit of working closely with some very talented leaders, both elected officials and city residents, who took on most of these major projects. My dad always used to say, always leave a place better than you found it. And I tried to follow his footsteps. Perhaps my biggest contribution, along with Phil Ashton, was our successful flood control project that resulted something.
Paper gets heavier, as
Resulted in Meriden Green and ensured that downtown Meriden would no longer flood from major storms. I told this story before, and it's true. Back in 1993, when I was running for my second bid for the city council, back in those days we had a platform, and each council would write a plank. You know, if elected, I will promise to do such and so. So anyway, I've been reading the Record Journal, and they used to have stories of what happened 25 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. So I'm reading a verbatim story about a city councilman in 1890 who said the following: Meriden has a huge downtown flooding problem. They should do something about it, but they probably never will. Fast forward 100 years, multiple storms that wiped out downtown, put us in canoes on Main Street, wiped out businesses, homes, and that he was almost right until I got the fortunate opportunity to do something about it with my friends and workers, co-workers, and so forth. So anyway, so that's a biggie. That's something that will live on for years to come and benefit our community. It just Brian Ennis and Bob Curry, two of our engineers, took this project on like it was their own. They were like a dog with a bone. They carried this thing on their backs through all kinds of issues, and they were really tremendously helpful in making all this happen. It turned out to be the largest, most expensive and complicated municipal project in the city in the history of Meriden, little that I know. But again, it took a village to do this job, and I really am appreciative of all those who made it happen. And I just heard we took 84 properties out of the flood zone. No more flood insurance for these families. One of the benefits of this. I was also fortunate to champion the expansion of the Meriden Public Library. Served as first chairman of the First Linear Trail Committee with Joe Zadak, and started the successful farmers market 15 years ago. I knew downtown was somehow going to come back after the huge investments that we had made down there. I just wanted to start things going. So I did things like brought the circus into town, got a chance to ride the elephant. First time I'd been in town in 26 years. And the reason was the fire department kept telling how much it was going to cost to bring the circus into town. So I got together with the fire department and said, look, it'd be really good to bring the circus downtown, but we need to cut the expenses down a bit. So they agreed. We brought it in. We ran it a couple of years, and it was a great to see the look on the kids' faces when they went to see our circus at our own downtown. Then another thing we did was we put an ice skating rink in our downtown. Anybody remember the ice skating rink? Yeah. So Eddie Seaver was there making a fire every night in a Christmas tree like a Rockefeller Center, and people were skating around. One guy told me I'd come at 2 o'clock in the morning so I could skate by myself. Just a nice feeling to see people can't come downtown, actually, and they don't get bugged. It's a safe place to be. All along, and Meriden really should take credit for this, we found people to do the work. I did none of this by myself, but I was always able to attract smart people, committed people who worked really hard at what they did, and it made all the difference. Well, in spare time, aside from politics, I also devoted my time for starting the Relay for Life. I'm a cancer survivor. I got a call one day, they're getting this new event, the Relay for Life in Meriden. And they asked me if I would share it. I said, you know, I'm working 24 hours a day, I've been busy, you need someone who can really take this on and do it right. So then I felt guilty. Because if it weren't for the Cancer Society and the research they did, I never would have gotten a cure for my cancer. So I called them back. Said we'd give it a run. So I called 20 of my best friends together. It was a February cold day up at the golf course restaurant. They said, I've been asked to do this event. I can't do it without your help. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to try to pull this thing off and make some money. Now, anybody remember the jail and bail where they used to we took vacation during that week so we wouldn't have to get jailed and bailed. That was so embarrassing. Everybody hated that event. So I said, well, at least we'll have an event that will be better liked. So anyway, so the first thing we had to do is set a goal. The jail and bail had raised $18,000 a year before. I gritted my teeth and said, let's go for 19. They shouted me down. 20! I said, oh my God, we're going to fail before we even start. We raised 69. Wow. And 120. So many of us are affected by cancer. I mean, you don't know anybody who's been ahead of themselves or a relative or colleague or friend or something. It's still going strong today. We're raising over $100,000 a year 30 years later. It's the biggest fundraiser between Meriden and Wallingford we've ever seen in Meriden. And all because people put the time and energy into it and to make it successful. And along the way, in addition to that, I was very involved with the Black community, helping with the Black Unity Expo for years at the parks. That was always a lot of fun. I helped Hector Cardona with the Puerto Rican Festival along the way. Helped my dear friend Rudy and Ray, my 96-year-old friend who founded Martin Luther King Breakfast. She had a great saying, and she always says it, and it's very fitting for this event here. She says, give me my flowers when I can still smell them. Yeah. And you sure have given me my flowers so I can smell them, so thank you. So, I must say, looking at my career, I've been able to do more than I ever thought I could $80 a week room and board childcare worker comes into Meriden, or into Connecticut, and you've heard what we were able to pull off together. And I really feel so thankful for the consequential impact that I've been able to lead in this community and what it's going to do for our future residents of our city. So reflecting on my life, 80 years, I was able to get love and work right. So it's time to say goodbye at this point. I thank each and every one of you for everything you've done. I see the stories of the faces of people here tonight. All the people I've dealt with are here in this room, and it's been a blast, and I thank you so much. And Meriden, we have a lot to be thankful for in great years ahead, so thank you. I did reference my sweet wife Nancy, and this picture is cropped from the picture of she and I together. I asked if they could put us both on the plaque. They said, "Well, it caught future problems, blah blah blah." So, but when I look at this picture, I see her right next to me. Thank you.
But, you know, Matt, I don't want to put you on the spot, but seeing as you are in the industry, is there any advice you can give to Bruce and Dave to further their musical careers? And our last inductee today in the Historic Persons category is Joseph Pierce, and to do the presentation is Hall of Fame board member Brian Cofrancisco.
Yes, that is an impossible act to follow, so I will be brief and pass it off to somebody else to do. I was honored to nominate Joseph Pierce for the Meriden Hall of Fame because there's a big misconception when we look at our history and the history, especially of the Civil War, that it was fought exclusively by white Americans. In fact, there were many ethnic groups and people of color who took part in this great struggle and great period in our country's history. Few people are aware that Chinese were among them, and that the highest ranking Chinese soldier to fight in the Civil War was Corporal Joseph Pierce of Berlin and Meriden, a member of Company F, 14th Regiment, Connecticut Volunteer Infantry. Today, we are very honored to have with us Irving Moy, who portrays Corporal Pierce at reenactments and living history events. Irving has published the book An American Journey, My Father, Abraham Lincoln, Joseph Pierce, and Me. And he will have the honor of introducing Joseph Pierce's story on behalf of his descendants. Please join me in welcoming Irving Moy.
Thank you, Brian. I'm grateful to be able to be a living voice for Joseph, who was elected into the Historical Persons category. But first of all, to the Board of Directors and members of the City of the Meriden Hall of Fame, I took the opportunity to watch last year's induction ceremony on YouTube. And I noticed there was a lot of good-natured bantering among Yankee and Red Sox fans.
I haven't had much to say this year.
I'll only add to this discussion by quoting the words of the immortal Yogi Berra. Quote, "I want to thank you for making this day necessary." My congratulations to the other members of the 2025 induction class, their families and friends. It is an honor to be with you and with the Hall of Fame members who are present. A warm welcome to the audience includes my wife, daughter, friends from the Berlin Historical Society, the town that Joseph lived in after his arrival from China, the West Haven Veterans Museum and Learning Center, who supported the need to have a display on Joseph, the Middlesex County Historical Society, and Company F, 14th Connecticut Volunteer Infantry, all who have supported me in my portrayal and presentation of Joseph Pierce at reenactments and living history events, and other dear friends. My appreciation to all of you here today. Joseph and Martha Pierce had 5 great-granddaughters by their only grandson, Franklin Wadsworth Pierce. Of the 3 living, Mary Vargas, Dolores Bernard, and Joyce O'Neill, Mary, I hope, is here to represent the family. Oh, she is here. Hey, very good. Thank you, Mary. And please come up. Get a chance, you can take my seat where you belong, not me. It would be remiss of me if I did not mention the deceased great-granddaughters, Jean Cuzzy and Pat Haig. The paper trail of my research ended with the last known address of Jean Cuzzy listed in the Bridgeport City Directory. I took a chance and wrote a letter of introduction and asked for an interview. I didn't hear back, and weeks passed to my disappointment. Then unexpectedly, I received a letter from an address in Sun City, Florida, from Jean, who said she had moved and received my letter a week before the post office stopped forwarding her mail. If she had responded to my letter, I would not be here today, nor would Joseph's story have been told. Jean, in turn, placed me in touch with her sister Pat, the family historian in California, who shared photos and memories of her uncles, Joseph's sons, Franklin and Benjamin, and her father, Franklin Jr. And she finally, Pat, could speak about the family secret and her suspicions that they were part Chinese. They would be thrilled to know of Joseph's election. On behalf of Mary and the great-granddaughters of Joseph and Martha Pierce, thank you for honoring him with his induction. In a July 30th, 2006 Meriden Record Journal article on the dedication of a Grand Republic GAR marker at Joseph's gravesite, Marco Kroll, superintendent of Walnut Grove Cemetery, was quoted as saying, quote, "He is a big part of the history of Meriden and should be recognized. There aren't many other dedications. Pierce is singled out for the uniqueness of his whole story." With your vote for his election and induction into the city's Hall of Fame, Joseph has come full circle back home as an honored member of Berlin's community. Joseph's election is in the historical persons category, and this inclusion in this category is associated with his participation in what many refer to as the most defining event of our country's history, as the highest-ranking Chinese soldier in the Civil War with the 14th Connecticut Volunteer Infantry. Our country has undergone 2 American revolutions. The first was winning our independence from Great Britain. The second, when the Union was preserved with the North winning the Civil War. This victory brought about the most sudden and most radical social change in the history of this or any country. It resulted in the passage of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution, known as the Civil War Amendments, eliminating the institution of slavery, providing birthright citizenship with equal protection under the law, and the right to vote. As a result of the outcome of the Civil War, our national character is embodied and defined to the world in the words of President Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address as being, quote, "a new birth of freedom." And in his December 1st, 1862 address to Congress, just before he issued the Emancipation Proclamation as being, quote, "the last hope of earth." Our country is seen by those who face oppression as a destination for the opportunity for a better life for ourselves and for the families, the very reasons our ancestors came. Our country's history is one and continues to be one of countless stories of known and unknown immigrants who lived, worked, and died, contributing to our historical tapestry. In a sense, the story of Joseph Pierce is a microcosm of our nation's immigration story. Despite our present-day political climate where immigration has become a divisive issue, I am even more grateful for the members of the Meriden Hall of Fame for recognizing Joseph with his election and induction. The story of Joseph Pierce. With each telling of Joseph Pierce's story, I am convinced that God had his hand on his life. During a time of civil war and famine in China, at the age of 10, he was sold to a sea captain for $6 silver for life at sea as a servant. But the sea captain was Amos Peck, from a prominent Connecticut family who were abolitionists and did not believe in any form of bondage. On the voyage back to America, the crew on the ship called him Joe. Franklin Pierce was president at the time, thus his name, Joseph Pierce. Now, I'm a fan of Abraham Lincoln, and I wish that he could have come when Abraham Lincoln was president. His name probably would have been Joe Lincoln. Amos Peck brought the young lad back to Berlin, where he grew up with Peck's younger siblings, attending school and church, and became an accepted member of the community because of his ties with the Peck family and the fact that there were not many Chinese on the East Coast at the time. 14th Connecticut Volunteer, the Civil War. After the disastrous defeat of the Union Army at Bull Run, President Lincoln issued a call to all states to provide 300,000 troops to serve 3 years or until the rebellion was suppressed. 21 men, including Joseph, enlisted from Berlin on July 26, 1862, at a recruiting station in New Britain. He was mustered into the 14th Connecticut Volunteer Infantry that was assigned to the 2nd Brigade, 3rd Division, 2nd Corps of the Army of the Potomac, known as Mr. Lincoln's Army. The 14th Connecticut would fight in many of the significant battles of the Civil War, from Antietam, Fredericksburg, Chancellorsville, Gettysburg, to Lee's surrender at Appomattox Courthouse. It participated in 34 battles and skirmishes, captured more prisoners, cannons, battle flags than any other Connecticut regiment. Joseph was promoted a corporal after the Battle of Gettysburg on November 1st, 1863, becoming the highest-ranking Chinese soldier in the war. The 14th would lose more men in proportion to its size. Only 215 out of 1,015 men, 21%, who left Connecticut in 1862, returned home on June the 10th, 1865. Joseph was one of them to be honorably mustered out of state service. Post-war years in Meriden. He returned to assume his pre-war occupation of farming, but God again had his intervene on his behalf. It was apparent to Mary Elizabeth, one of Amos's sisters, farming was not much of a future for a young man returning home from war to a new industrialized country. Through her marriage to Dennis Wilcox, who with his brother Horace, also a member of the Hall of Fame inductee, founded the Meriden Botanic Company, a major silver company that helped Meriden to be known as, quote, the Silver City. Joseph moved to Meriden to apprentice as a silver engraver. The month of November seems to hold special meaning in Pierce's life. November was the month he gave as his birth month and the month of his promotion as a corporal. And on November the 12th, 1876, at the age of 34, he married Martha Morgan, age 18, from Portland, Connecticut. In light of the Chinese custom of, quote, arranged marriages, it is wonderful to think that they married out of love. The couple were blessed with 4 children, 2 daughters and 2 sons. Unfortunately, only the sons would serve to adulthood. Joseph was a professional silver graver with the Meriden Botanic Company. The family were members of the Trinity Methodist Episcopal Church that was located on the corner of the Cook and West Main Streets. The children attended the King Street School. Many would consider the Pierces as being a middle-class family and living what was to be known as, quote, the American dream. The 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act, its effects on the Pierce family. But in 6 years after her marriage and the birth of their children, Congress passed the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act that played on the fears that Chinese were taking jobs away from Americans. The act, the first of its kind, made it difficult for Chinese laborers to become citizens and made it impossible for those in this country to be reunited with their families unless they left the country permanently. The act did not affect the Pierce family at the beginning of the passage, but as time passed, the family felt the prejudice directed at them. Although he was a naturalized citizen by virtue of his participation in the Civil War and a silver engraver by profession, he registered with the government as a Chinese laborer and resident of Connecticut to avoid harassment and possible deportation at the urging of Meriden officials. In the 1880 census, Joseph listed his race as Chinese. To shield his family in subsequent census, he listed his race as Japanese. At his death, his oldest son listed Joseph's birthplace as China. When Martha died 10 years later, he listed Joseph's birthplace as unknown. And the sons would speak less of their father, as they did not speak of this, quote, family secret to their granddaughters and nieces. It must have been a great disappointment for Joseph that his participation in a war that brought an end to bondage brought about a different form of racial oppression directed at his family. Imagine the anger and shame he must have felt when he was forced to cut off his queue, the symbol of his Chinese heritage, to pass as Japanese. Despite the need for deception, the family assimilated into the life of their community as Martha established a home for the family at 17 Meriden Street, where the family moved to in 1886. A member of the family would live at this location for the next 52 years. Although Joseph was not a member of the GAR, the Grand Army of the Republic, he continued to attend reunions of the 14th Connecticut, where he was always greeted enthusiastically by his regimental comrades. In a July 29, 1899 article in the New York Times, quote, Chinamen who get pensions, Reverend H.S. Stevens, chaplain of 14th Connecticut, was quoted, quote, the regiment had an exceptional experience as to the number of battles engaged in hardships and campaigns and casualties, and our Joe, as we called him, was rarely off duty, a brave, capable, and faithful soldier. Joseph Pierce retired in 1914 after 46 years as a silver engraver. He died in his home on January 3, 1916, at the age of 72, after a decade of declining health. He is buried along with his family in Walnut Grove Cemetery, less than a mile from his home. His obituary in the Meriden Daily Journal on the date of his birth did not mention his Civil War service. It simply states, he had resided in this city for many years and was well known and liked. The growth of Joseph's renown. But in the intervening years since his death, Pierce and his Civil War service would be remembered and celebrated with much credit going to pioneer researchers as Terry Folander, Ruth Lum McClune, and Edward Mulligan, who began documenting its Asian participation in the Civil War. In 1993, at the suggestion of Ed Mulligan, Joseph was included in the Faces of Gettysburg display at the original Gettysburg Visitor Center. He has been featured in articles in Civil War magazines, as the Civil War Times Illustrated, North and South, even in the South China Morning Post in Hong Kong. In Alex J's blog, quote, The Blue, the Gray, and the Chinese-American Civil War Participants of Chinese Descent, and Gordon Kwok's Association to commemorate the Chinese serving in the American Civil War. There are numerous articles online on Joseph. In fact, 4 books have been written where he's either highlighted as the principal subject. They are American Journey, My Father, Lincoln, Joseph Pierce, and Me, by Irving Moy. Asians and Pacific Islanders in the Civil War, the official National Park Service Handbook, Carol Shivey, editor. Freedom for Me, A Chinese Yankee for Young Adults by Stacy Haas, and the recent book for children, Worthy, The Brave and Capable Life of Joseph Pierce by Andrea Wang. Besides myself, I know of 3 Chinese reenactors who portray Joseph Pierce at Civil War reenactments and living history events. Ask any Asian Civil War reenactor who he's portraying. His answer is likely Corporal Joseph Pierce. Joseph's story will continue to be told. In my invitation to serve as an advisor to the Asian Pacific Islanders and the Civil War National Park Service Handbook, Carol Shivey, the NPS editor, wrote, quote, what a story, plunking a man from relative obscurity and finally giving him the honor he is due. This is much important work you have done. We and the nation are indebted to you. I thank the members of the City of Meriden Hall of Fame for completing the task. Thank you.
And if Mary could come up, we will give you the plaque. I still have a dog treat up here if anybody's interested. At this time, I'd like to call my colleague, Representative Hilda Santiago, forward as we have special recognitions for each of the inductees.
Good afternoon. So we're almost done. So I'm just going to read one citation. They basically just have the different names and highlights what each honoree is being recognized for. So this is from the General Assembly official citation introduced by Representative Hilda Santiago, Representative Michael Quinn, Representative Jack Fazzino, and Senator Jan Hockedel. Be it hereby known to all that the Connecticut General Assembly hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Kevin Curry, which is the first one, in recognition of being inducted into the Meriden Hall of Fame in the Business and Commerce category. As a first-generation American citizen, your story is an inspiration, one of success, dedication, and hard work. On top of succeeding in business, you have worked to support your community and animals through volunteer philanthropic efforts. The entire membership extends its very best wishes in this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success on this 19th day of October 2025 at the State Capitol, Hartford, Connecticut, by President Pro Tem Martin Looney, Speaker of the House Matt Ritter, Secretary of the State Stephanie Thomas. Congratulations, Kevin. So if you want to come up and...
Eva, come here. Eva, come here, hold this.
As I mentioned in my remarks, you've heard enough from me and other speakers, but we also have citations on behalf of the Office of the Mayor, as well as the Meriden City Council for each of the recipients. And so, Kevin, congratulations, and
Thank you.
Thank you. And Chad, if you want.
And we also have our certificates of special recognition from the office of Senator Richard Blumenthal. Okay.
Thank you.
And then the next one is for Michael Rohde. And the next one is for Thomas Potter Sr. So you want to take this, Gary? And last but not least, the last one is for Joseph Pierce. So we'll give it
All right, thank you all. In addition to each of the recognitions that our recipients received, they also have received the, I call it the take-home version of the plaque that'll be hanging in City Hall for time in memoriam, and the plaques that will be going in City Hall for our 4 new inductees are behind me to my right. And also to my left are the plaques for the 5 founders of the Meriden Hall of Fame, who have all been inducted in their own right for their contributions to the community. As has been referenced, this is our 49th induction ceremony and 50th year of existence, and I'd like to call on Brian Cofrancesco for remarks on our 50th anniversary.
Good afternoon again. What an honor it is to gather here today to celebrate not just our inductees for 2025, but a monumental milestone, the 50th anniversary of the Meriden Hall of Fame Association. 50 years ago, in 1975, a small group of visionary citizens, Charles Byron, Joseph P. Coffey, Salvatore Jacobi, Max E. Moravnik, and Roger W. King, came together with a shared belief. They recognized that while the nation had its Academy Awards and Sports Halls of Fame, Meriden needed its own way to recognize the extraordinary contributions of those who live or work here. As Roger King, who would later serve as president of our association, believed, this was to be, quote, the world's only municipal Hall of Fame. Their ultimate goal was simple, yet profound, to honor individuals whose commitment enhanced Meriden's community and its quality of life. Half a century later, their legacy is still evident as we celebrate our 4 newest inductees to the Hall of Fame, and as we continue to adorn the walls of City Hall with the plaques of our inductees whose lives and impacts have shaped Meriden's past and present. To date, we have 175 inductees, including our 5 founders, as you heard, whose plaques we've temporarily borrowed from City Hall for you to see today. From those early years of Hall of Fame meetings in private homes, in our first ceremony in 1982, the Meriden Hall of Fame has grown far beyond the original categories of arts, benefactors, and sports. We now proudly recognize excellence across 12 distinct fields, including education, law, government, and military, literature, science and medicine, business and commerce, community service, media, performing arts, philanthropy, arts, sports, and historic persons, ensuring that we capture the true diverse tapestry of Meriden's remarkable story. To commemorate this 50th anniversary, we have partnered with the Meriden Historical Society to create a special exhibit honoring our founders, this year's inductees, and 1 inductee from each of our 12 categories. Through photographs, personal artifacts, multimedia displays, and biographical stories, visitors will discover how these men and women shaped Meriden's identity and left their mark on the wider world around us. The exhibit not only honors their accomplishments, but also inspires pride and reflection on the diverse talents and enduring spirit that define Meriden's history and our future. The Hall of Fame and Historical Society boards invite you to visit this special exhibit at the Historical Society's downtown location, 41 West Main Street, after our induction this afternoon. It will be open for you to peruse and for guided tours from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And if you can't make it today, there's 1 more week to see it, next Sunday, October 26th, from 11 to 3. Parking is available on West Main Street in front of the building or in the municipal lot just behind off Grove Street. On behalf of our board and members, I want to extend a personal thank you to our partners at the Historical Society, specifically Deborah Patterson, Leslie Carabetta, Ruth Borsuk, and Ginger Jewell for everything they've done to create this exhibit. And I'd like everyone to give them a round of applause. A few of them are in the room today. As we look to the next 50 years of the Meriden Hall of Fame, we must ensure that this association continues to thrive. I ask each of you to consider honoring our founders, generations of inductees, and our future inductees by making a tax-deductible donation to the Meriden Hall of Fame Association. Each contribution, no matter the size, helps sustain our work and enables us to continue honoring Meriden's own, who have left a lasting impact on our community, our state, our nation, and the world. For 50 years, we have been unique in Connecticut, and with your support, your membership, and your involvement, we will continue for the next 50. Thank you.
All right, and before we conclude this afternoon, the work of the Meriden Hall of Fame would not be possible without the great team of volunteer board of directors that we have. So if all the board of directors members who are here could stand to be recognized. And you're probably wondering, well, how do I get involved with the Hall of Fame? What can I do? How can I nominate someone? How do I vote? It's very simple. We have memberships in the Hall of Fame, $25 a year or $100 for your lifetime. And if you are a member of the Hall of Fame, you are eligible to vote. We send out ballots once a year after the nominating committee has created a slate, and the slate is created from all of the submissions that we receive of people who are deemed to be worthy for consideration into the Meriden Hall of Fame. We accept nominations up until early next year, and once all the nominations are in, our committee will meet and we will formulate a ballot. Anyone can nominate anyone to be in the Meriden Hall of Fame. You do not have to be a member. And as has also been said before during our ceremony today, I know that there are people in this audience who will someday be inductees themselves. And Meriden has a rich history, and if you ever have the time to go to City Hall and look at all the plaques hanging on the wall and read about these people, you'll know why this city is as great as it is. And we will, as an organization, continue to honor those who have brought such good works to the city of Meriden. And with that, I will turn it over to the Reverend Harold Quigley for the benediction. And once that is complete, we do have refreshments again to my right. We ask that you please help yourself and stay for as long as you'd like to chat.
Wow. What a legacy of dedication and accomplishment that we stand in, because all of us have gifts. The Lord has given each and every one of us gifts. And what causes these men to stand out is that they use their gifts. And they use them not just for themselves, but for the community. And so these words of benediction: we are a people of many different experiences and backgrounds. Whoever we are, whatever our background or our gifts, each one of us is a child of God, cherished and loved, and a bundle of potential. So may the peace of God flow through your lives as you seek to encourage and to support one another. Amen.
And this concludes our ceremony. Again, thank you to everyone for coming out. This is a wonderful crowd.